Hello guys, this is Sanjana parihar, intern at LEXIS and Company. I'm pursuing BA LLB. This is my first year, and today we'll discuss judicial doctrines. Now, what is judicial doctrine? A doctrine is a principle, theory, or a position that is usually applied and upheld by court of law. In Indian constitutional law, also there are different judicial doctrines that develop over time as per the interpretation given by the judiciary. Some of the important judicial doctrines are discussed in this article. Now, doctrine of basic structure. Constituents of basic structure are not defined by the Supreme Court of India. Parliamentary democracy, fundamental rights, secularism, federalism, judicial review, etc. are all held by courts as basic structure of Indian Constitution. Now, this basic structure's origin are found in German Constitution, which are after Nazi regime was amended to protect some basic laws. In Keshan and Bharti case, 1973, the Supreme Court of India for the first time ruled that the Parliament has the power to amend any part of the Constitution, but it cannot alter the basic structure of the Constitution. It was reaffirmed by Supreme Court in the Indira Nehru Gandhi versus Raj Narayan case of 1975, that the Supreme Court invalidated a provision of the 39th Amendment Act 1975, which kept the election disputed involving the Prime Minister and the Speaker of Lok Sabha outside the jurisdiction of all courts. Now, basic structure doctrine was reaffirmed in the Minerva Mills case 1980 and later in the Veman Rao case 1981. In this case, the Supreme Court examined the validity of Article 31A and Article 31B of the Constitution of India with respect to the doctrine of basic structure. Doctrine of separation of powers. It mainly signifies the division of powers between various organs of the state, executive, legislature, and judiciary. Separation of power signifies mainly three formulations of the government power. The same person should not form a part of more than one or three organs of the state. One organ should not interfere with any other organ of the state. One organ should not exercise the function assigned to the other organ. Now, important judgments. Javaya versus State of Punjab 1955 case, where Supreme Court held that Indian Constitution has not indeed recognized the doctrine of separation of power in its absolute rigidity, but the function of the different parts of or the branches of the government have been sufficiently differentiated. Now, in Indira Nehru Gandhi versus Raj Narayan case of 1975, the Supreme Court held the separation of power is part of basic structure of the Constitution. None of the three separate organs of the Republic can take over the functions assigned to the other. The doctrine of Pith and substance. Pith means true nature, and substance means the most important and essential part of something. The doctrine was first acknowledged in the Canadian Constitution and in India. It came up to be adopted in the pre-independence period under Government of India Act 1935. Important judgments related to this was in Prafulla versus Bank of Commerce 1946. The Supreme Court held that the state law dealing with money lending state subject is not invalid merely because it incidentally affects promissory notes. Now, doctrine of incidental and ancillary powers. It has developed as an addition to the doctrine of Pith and substance. The doctrine is invoked when there is a need to aid the principal legislation in the question. The doctrine of pith and substance deals with only with the subjects, but the doctrine of incidental or ancillary powers deals with the power to legislate or such subjects and the matters connect thereto. Important judgments related to this. The Supreme Court in the state of Rajasthan versus G. Chawla 1958 stated that the power to legislate on a topic of legislation carries with it the power to legislate on an ancillary matter which can be said to reasonably included in the power given. Now, doctrine of severability. It's also known as the doctrine of separability and protects the fundamental rights of the citizens. As per the clause 1 of Article 13 of the Constitution, if any of the laws enforced in India are consistent with the provisions and the fundamental rights, they shall to the extent of the inconsistency be void. The whole act would be held invalid, but only the provisions which are not in consistency with the fundamental rights. Now, what are the limitations to it? If the valid and invalid part are so closely mixed up with each other that it cannot separate it, then the whole law or the act will be held invalid. This was originated in the roots of England, and the important judgments for this doctrine is A.K. Gopalan versus State of Madras 1950. The Supreme Court held that in the case of inconsistency of the Constitution, only the disputed provision of the Act will be void and not the whole of it. And very attempt should be made to save as much as possible of the Act. In State of Bombay versus F.N. Balsara 1951, 8 sections of the Bombay Prohibition Act were declared invalid. The Supreme Court said that the portion which was invalid to the extent of fundamental rights was separable from the rest of the Act. Doctrine of harmonious construction. The term harmonious construction refers to such constructions by which harmony of oneness amongst various provisions of an enactment is arrived at when the word of statutory provisions bear more than one meaning and there is doubt as to which meaning should prevail. Their interpretation should be in a way that each has a separate effect and neither is redundant or nullified. The origin of doctrine of harmonious construction originated from interpretation given by the courts in number of cases like Shankari Prasad versus Union of India. So this was all for today, and there are lots of more doctrines, and there will be a part 2 of this video. If there is any question related to the content, do let me know in the comment section. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And also, this video does not solicit any kind of promotions or advertisements. It's for educational purposes only. Do let me know how did you like the video. Thank you.